Good morning. I'm Dick Wagner, one of the co-founders of the Crest Network. Today we have a very peculiar title to this webinar. Drop the rope. You have to be wondering, what the heck is he talking about? Well, drop the rope really comes from the concept of when you're holding a rope and somebody else on the other side is holding a rope, you're doing a tug of war. Probably only one person is going to win, which means the other person is going to lose. So the idea of dropping the rope really comes from the idea that a marketer, when they're in the battle of working with a insurance agent or a plumber or some other client, the whole concept is don't make it adversarial, don't make it a struggle, simply drop the rope, don't have any push or pull whatsoever. So let's see if I can move this. There we go. So the idea is you can't win every single client, but you can probably win a lot more clients when you just simply drop the rope. You simply don't have anybody that's tug of war with you, trying to achieve and win what they're anxious to do. So the question is, how do you drop the rope? And then why should you drop the rope? Very simply, there's always tension, even of the most minor, small bit of tension between the marketer and a prospect. I don't care unless they're good friends with you, unless they're referring you regularly. Every other encounter that you have is going to have some tension. They're going to perceive you as a salesperson. They're going to pursue, even though you're not selling anything, you're a marketer. They're going to perceive or believe or feel that you're trying to sell them something. You're trying to get them to do something that they might not otherwise want to do. So what could your prospect do? Well, real simple. They could refer you. That's exactly what they need, what you're offering, what you want to do for them. It might be exactly what they need. So they're going to refer you. Or they may stall and delay with the idea that the timing isn't right now. They may decide that it's not a good fit. They may feel that your solution, what you're offering, just simply isn't relevant in their current situation. And they could be referring a competitor. That means that the other marketer offered a better program, a better system, a better engagement. They started working with another competitor because they didn't know about you. So now your challenge is a whole lot different. Dropping the rope means you give them a choice. Remember, not everyone needs your services. Not everyone needs your specific company to take care of their client. Not everyone wants your service. period. Bottom line, not everybody thinks that what you have to offer is right for them. Not every prospect is a good fit. Now I've turned it around. What I was talking about previously was that not every prospect thinks you're a good fit. Now it goes the other way. Not every prospect is a good fit for them and you. Sometimes they're just simply happy with the competitor. You need to know, excuse me, or you need to let them know that all of the options that are on the table are acceptable. It's okay for your prospect to say, no, I'm not interested. Our carrier doesn't want us involved in claims, or we just don't give referrals, or maybe we always refer 3 companies and we already have those 3 companies. That's a new challenge for you. Or we already have a restoration company that we work with. Or, hey, at least you're making headway. We'll give you the next claim. Early in the relationship, I highly recommend that you acknowledge that they may not be a good fit for you and you may not be a good fit for them. When you say that right at the beginning, it takes away all of the tension. It takes away all of the resistance. It takes away all of the tug of war that will otherwise be there. Often, you already know how they will object. You need to be prepared for their objections. And since you know what their objections might probably be, you can preempt those objections. You can use the make them a hero summary move. If you don't know what the summary move is, be sure to contact me and I'll share that with you. If you've been through our Restoration Marketing Specialist course, you already know what the summary move is. If I've been coaching you and you're watching this and I've been coaching you so far for the past year or 2 or 3 or 4, you certainly know what the summary move is. In fact, you probably have those 3 sentences memorized. You also need to use their lingo in their language. Talking about air movers and dehues and thermal hygrometer and so forth, that's your language. And it doesn't mean anything to them. You've got to use their lingo. Don't talk about you or your company. They don't want to hear it. They don't need to hear it. They don't care about it. So the fact that you want to say, oh, we've got the best employees ever. Our employees are like family to us. All of our staff are IICRC certified. That's garbage. It's not garbage to you, but it's garbage to them. They don't care about it. And you need to acknowledge whatever their concern is. Remember, not all objections require an answer or a rebuttal. Just simply bypass those objections. When they say, I don't refer contractors, I recommend that you respond with, I understand your hesitation. Sometimes, yes, they're just stating their opinion. Don't be afraid to acknowledge that they can get the services cheaper with another company. I have a client right now, a marketer, who it seems like every week tells me, well, I was with this insurance agent or that insurance agent, and their constant complaint is that we're higher priced than the franchise company. Well, acknowledge that and then give them reasons why you're higher priced. Many, many times, higher priced is just simply better quality, better service. And you need to always go back to that summary move and talk about things like policyholder retention, or helping them recover quickly, or that you are focused on making the agent to be the hero. You don't need to be the hero because you're getting paid. The insurance agent that referred you is the one that needs to be the hero. You certainly should clarify with them. You know, from my experience over my lifetime, and you probably have experienced the same thing, we generally know that cheaper price usually means lower quality. And as an insurance agent, are you okay with that? Do you really want your policyholder to have lower quality when they're being put back together? That's a real blunt, glaring question that you should be asking. And then, you know, a lot of marketers, oh my gosh, I hear this so many times. They talk and talk and talk and talk, and they just go on and on and on, and they're telling them things that aren't necessary. They're telling them things that the agent or the plumber or the hotel manager doesn't need to know. You really need to talk about their concerns and realize that those concerns might be based on wrong information. So you need to find out what those concerns are and then write those wrong thoughts or wrong ideas. Remember, the simpler your explanation, the better they understand. Their brain, I don't care how sharp and smart they are, their brain is automatically going to go to the least complicated process. They don't want a complicated explanation. Just as an example, I had a marketer who has a fairly complicated referral fee program for their plumbers. It's based on dollar amounts and then percentages. And there's about 5 or 6 or 7 different steps or processes that could come into play. And they asked me, well, should I put that on a maybe a 3x5 card or a postcard size printed postcard and make it nice and pretty and formal and so forth and pass those out? And my answer was an immediate no. Why do you want to give the client that information in writing so they can pass it on to your competitor? You don't need them to pass it on to your competitor. You don't want them to, because you know what's going to happen? Your competitor is going to do you one up. And you don't need that. So it's better to have the process simplified And it's better to not put it in writing for the client, because bottom line, they're going to share it with the next marketer that comes in wanting to give them some sort of a referral fee. They're going to go right to their desk and they're going to pull it out and say, can you guys do this? Can you guys match this? And you know what? In many, many cases, the competitor is going to match it or beat it. And, you know, the loyalty often initially only goes so far. And sometimes money talks. Remember, if you dump a lot of detail on them, a lot of complication, they're going to just simply tune you out. They're going to forget you. They're going to make the decision unconscious or subconsciously, mentally. They're going to decide, this is just too complicated. I don't want to get involved. I'm going to continue doing what I've always done, which is nothing. That isn't going to help you at all. And then I want to give you some ideas of words that soften their resistance. Remember, I said at the beginning of this, drop the rope. Eliminate that tug of war concept. Eliminate the resistance where they feel they have to pull back. They have to resist. They have to argue with you. So when you use words like feel, felt, found, because, many, and that's a great way to say it, many have initially felt the same way. Several have found that it improved their policyholder opinion of their agent and their insurance company. And remember that any statement that you use, any statement that you use where you include because always seems to be more readily accepted. It's kind of weird, and I just read this recently. One of the Ivy League schools was or did like a little test or a survey, and they sent the copy machine in the office was a popular place, kind of like the old water fountain was back in the day. And so people lined up at the copy machine to make their copies. And so the test was, they took one person who went to the front of the line and said, hey, do you mind if I make a quick copy? Because I have to get this to my boss right away. Because I have to get this to my boss right away. Or because I really need to put this in this morning's mail. Or because it's really important to me. Oddly enough, the number was like 96 or 97% of those making copies allowed that person to jump to the head of the line. When they asked it without saying the word because, the willingness of those people at the copy machine dropped to about 17%. But when they used the word because, it was skyrocketing high. In most cases, they said, sure, come on in. Go ahead, make a quick copy. Because we use the word because. It seems to soften it. It seems to give them some logical reason. It's less threatening, and they're willing, in most cases, to let you in. Now I want to talk to you about some of the most buyer repellent statements. Cutting out the salesy statements is going to increase your rate by not naturally generating resistance. When you don't start talking about things that can be construed as salesy or pitchy or pushy, you're going to have a far less resistance. One of the bizarre things that marketers do is they use this crazy phrase, how are you? How are you? How are you doing today? How's business been? What's up? Those are dead giveaways for salesy. You never thought of it probably that way. Your marketer probably never thought of it that way. But everybody that comes in there trying to sell something, even if it's to sell the idea of them giving you a referral, everybody starts out with some generic statements or questions that are dead ringer giveaways that that person is selling something. When you visit, your prospects are usually doing other work. I mean, almost everybody, when you walk into an insurance agent's office, or you walk into a plumbing office, or a hotel, or a nursing home, or a property manager, your likelihood of interrupting them is about 99.9%. On a very rare occasion, you can walk into an insurance agent's office and, you know, one of the agents might be back in their office playing solitaire. But that's really a rarity. So 99% of them are going to feel that you're interrupting them. Instead of ignoring the fact that you're interrupting them, use it to your advantage. Say something like, Mary, I'm Jennifer. I know you weren't expecting my visit. Have I caught you at a bad time? And reread that. I know you weren't expecting my visit. Have I caught you at a bad time? Years ago, when I was taking marketing and sales training classes, they taught you to never, ever talk about it being a bad time, with the theory or the idea that when you use the word bad or bad time, it planted with them the seed of negative. It encouraged them to say, yep, it is. Well, the fact of the matter is, it probably is a bad time. There is almost no good time for a marketer to walk in and interrupt a client, an insurance agent, a plumber, a property manager. There's no good time to interrupt them. So by you asking, hey, is it a bad time? What you're doing is you're giving them the opportunity to tell you yes, but it also, human nature is that if they tell you, yes, it's a bad time, they're not going to just say, yes, it's a bad time, and then shut up and leave. They're going to tell you when a better time is. When I call somebody on the phone, and I haven't talked to them in a few days or week, or even if I'm returning the call to somebody, I always try to ask them if now is a bad time. If it is a bad time, I don't want to talk to them and say what it is I wanted to say, because if it's a bad time for them, they don't want to hear it. They're not going to listen. They're not going to retain it. They're not going to remember it. Many times I've said, is now a bad time? And you know what they say? No, go ahead. You know, I've got a few minutes. Well, then when they say that, that's giving you the go ahead, that you can talk to them now and that you have their attention. Most marketers start with cliches, and those cliches, and I listed a few of them here, they tend to turn the prospect off. It's sometimes considered generic phrases or filler phrases or idle comments that really don't serve any purpose. If you think about it, how are you today? Really, truly doesn't serve any purpose, because, and it doesn't mean that if by not asking it, you're not caring. It just simply means that when you ask it and then they say, okay, I'm fine. Number one, it's a dead giveaway that you're selling something. Number two, they responded automatically. How are you today? Fine. They didn't even think about the response because they've heard that question so many times that they just respond automatically. Is this a good time to talk? That's a dead giveaway that you're probably selling something, even if it's the idea of selling them on referring you. You know you're selling something, or they know you're selling something if you say, could I have a few minutes of your time? Or I was wondering if maybe you would be interested in, I'm hoping, I'm thinking, I'm begging, I'm praying. Oh my gosh, please don't. Or, you know, they're going to try to be obnoxiously interrupting, but then they're going to tell you, I'll only take a minute of your time. Can you really convince them to do business with you in 60 seconds? Is that possible? No, it's not. You need 5 or 10 or 15 minutes to say what you need to say, and you need their undivided attention during that time. Or you start out the conversation with, after you say, hey, how are you today? And they say, fine. Then you say, I'd like to talk to you about, or I'm in the business of making our clients more successful, blah, blah, blah. Or I want to show you how we could help you with your policyholders, how we could help you with your clients, how we could help you with your tenants. It's a dead giveaway that you're a marketer or a salesperson when you use these. And I guarantee you, most of you use these. Unless I specifically am working with you, coaching you week after week after week, you probably have been using these. They're terrible phrases. Folks, I appreciate all of you jumping on this. This is my webinar on Drop the Rope. I hope it's been meaningful to you. I will save this in a YouTube link, and I will send an email to all of you in that, or send that email link to all of you. And for those of you that got on a few minutes late, you'll be able to see the beginning of this as well. So thank you very much. Don't forget to go to the Crest podcasts. There are several hundred of them on there now. We put some on every week. They're on Spotify, or they're on the Crest Network website, and you just simply have to go to Crestcasts in the menu. So thank you again. Bye-bye. See you next time.